Hello again, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. This is a space for those who love spine-chilling stories, eerie locations, and the thrill of the unknown. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal enthusiast or just someone curious about what lies beyond the veil, I've got something special in store for you today. We're continuing our journey through one of the most haunted states in America, Mississippi, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. If you enjoyed episode 1 of the most haunted places in Mississippi, then you're in for an even scarier ride with episode 2. In this installment, we'll be uncovering more of the state's darkest secrets, exploring reports of ghostly figures wandering through forgotten plantations, hearing voices calling out from the depths of abandoned asylums, and discovering why so many people claim they can feel an overwhelming sense of dread the moment they step foot inside these cursed locations. Some say these places are haunted by the spirits of those who suffered within their walls, while others believe the land itself carries the weight of past tragedies, imprinting echoes of fear onto all who dare to visit. So, if you're ready to face the unknown once more, grab your flashlight, settle in, and let's continue our journey into the heart of Mississippi's most terrifying hauntings. The phantom residence of the Margaret Reed Crosby House, tucked away in the heart of Natchez, Mississippi, nestled among the grand antebellum mansions that line the city's historic district, stands the Margaret Reed Crosby House, a stately Victorian home that has become the subject of numerous ghostly tales. Built in the late 19th century, the house was once the residence of Margaret Reed Crosby, a prominent socialite known for her lavish parties and refined taste. However, beneath its elegant facade lies a history steeped in tragedy and mystery, giving rise to one of the most enduring paranormal legends in the region. Margaret Reed Crosby was a woman of considerable wealth and influence, but her life was marked by personal turmoil. After the death of her husband, she reportedly became increasingly reclusive, retreating into the solitude of her grand home. Local lore suggests that Margaret was plagued by depression and paranoia, convinced that unseen forces were conspiring against her. Some accounts claim she began speaking to the portraits on her walls, believing them to be the spirits of her ancestors watching over her. Others tell of her nightly ritual of pacing the upstairs hallway, muttering to herself in a language no one could understand. Tragedy struck when Margaret was found dead in her bedroom under suspicious circumstances. While official records list her cause of death as natural, rumors quickly spread that she had been murdered by a jealous lover or driven to madness by the ghosts she claimed surrounded her. To this day, visitors to the Crosby house report eerie sensations, cold spots lingering in certain rooms, the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls, and the occasional glimpse of a shadowy figure disappearing around corners. One of the most frequently reported paranormal experiences involves the house's grand staircase. Witnesses claim to have seen the faint outline of a woman in a flowing Victorian gown descending the steps, only to vanish before reaching the bottom. Some believe this apparition is Margaret herself, forever trapped in the home she once cherished. Others speculate that she was not alone in death, and that the spirits of those who lived and died within the house continue to haunt its halls, their presence intertwined with the sorrow and mystery of Margaret's final days. Despite efforts to restore the Crosby house and transform it into a museum or event venue, many workers and visitors have refused to spend time inside after dark, citing an overwhelming sense of unease. Whether these occurrences are the result of historical trauma imprinted on the property, or the lingering presence of Margaret's restless spirit remains a topic of debate. What is certain, however, is that the Margaret Reed Crosby house continues to captivate those who seek out the supernatural, its ghostly echoes whispering through the dust-laden corridors of time, echoes of the past. The spectral shadows of the Myrtles plantation tucked away in the sleepy town of St. Francisville, Louisiana, just across the Mississippi River, lies the Myrtles plantation, a grand antebellum estate shrouded in mystery and horror. Though technically located in Louisiana, the Myrtles' proximity to Mississippi and its frequent inclusion in regional ghost hunting tours make it a crucial addition to any discussion of the Deep South's most haunted locations. This sprawling Greek Revival mansion, built in 1796, has gained notoriety as one of the most haunted houses in America, drawing paranormal enthusiasts and thrill-seekers eager to witness its spectral residents firsthand. The Myrtles' haunted legacy begins with its original owner, General David Bradford, a man known for his involvement in the Whiskey Rebellion and his eventual exile to Spanish Louisiana. However, the true horror associated with the plantation stems from the actions of one of its later inhabitants, Clarissa Christina Snyder, a servant allegedly responsible for a series of gruesome deaths. According to legend, Clarissa was a vengeful woman who practiced voodoo and harbored resentment toward the plantation's mistress, Sarah Woodruff Sterling. In a twisted act of retaliation, Clarissa is said to have poisoned the brim of a hat belonging to Sarah's two young daughters, resulting in their untimely deaths. The mother, devastated by the loss, reportedly saw Clarissa fleeing the scene, leading to her swift execution by hanging. Despite her demise, Clarissa's spirit is believed to have remained tethered to the myrtles, continuing to torment those who reside within its walls. Numerous guests and employees have reported seeing the ghost of a woman in a green dress wandering the halls, her presence often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread. One of the most frequently encountered apparitions is that of a little girl named Chloe, whose laughter can be heard echoing through the halls late at night. Some believe Chloe was one of Clarissa's victims, while others claim she is simply a playful child who refuses to leave the home she once loved. The Myrtles plantation has also been the site of countless unexplained phenomena. Guests staying in room 10, often referred to as Chloe's room, have reported waking up to find their belongings rearranged, their hair pulled in the middle of the night, and even glimpsing the reflection of a small girl in the mirror when no one else is present. Photographs taken inside the house often capture orbs of light or shadowy figures lurking in the background, further fueling speculation about the plantation's supernatural residents. Perhaps the most chilling tale comes from a guest who claimed to have awakened in the middle of the night to find a cold hand resting on their shoulder. As they turned to see who was touching them, they were met with the sight of a woman in a green dress standing beside the bed, only for her to vanish into thin air the moment they screamed. Another visitor described a particularly disturbing encounter in which they were jolted awake by the sensation of someone sitting on their chest, making it nearly impossible to breathe. Upon opening their eyes, they saw the unmistakable outline of a woman leaning over them, her face contorted in rage before disappearing without a trace. Whether these accounts stem from the residual energy of past tragedies or the lingering spirits of those who met untimely ends, the Myrtles plantation remains one of the most enigmatic and terrifying haunted locations in the region. Its reputation as a hotbed of paranormal activity continues to attract both skeptics and believers, ensuring that its dark history lives on in the whispers of the wind and the creaking of its ancient floorboards. The cursed grounds of the Old Alcorn State Hospital, situated in Norman, Mississippi. The Old Alcorn State Hospital stands as a grim reminder of a dark chapter in psychiatric history. Originally established in the early 20th century as the Mississippi Negro Hospital, it was one of the few mental health institutions dedicated to treating African American patients during the Jim Crow era. Over the decades, the hospital became notorious for its overcrowded wards, inadequate medical care, and widespread mistreatment of patients. Many who entered its doors never left, and today, the abandoned complex is said to be haunted by the restless spirits of those who suffered within its walls. The hospital's history is marred by troubling conditions that contributed to its eerie reputation. Reports from former employees and patients describe instances of neglect, forced sterilizations, and secret experiments conducted on unwilling subjects. Some claim that electroshock therapy was administered without anesthesia, while others allege that patients were locked away indefinitely with little hope of release. These harrowing accounts have led many to believe that the suffering endured within the hospital left an indelible mark on the land, trapping the souls of the departed in a cycle of anguish. Today, the abandoned campus remains largely untouched, its decaying buildings standing as silent witnesses to the horrors of the past. Urban explorers and paranormal investigators who have ventured into the ruins describe an overwhelming sense of dread upon entry, as if the very air is thick with sorrow and despair. Strange noises echo through the empty halls, distant screams, muffled sobs, and the sound of footsteps trailing behind those who dare to explore. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures moving through the broken windows, while others report feeling an icy presence brush past them in the darkness. One of the most unsettling accounts involves the basement of the main building, where rumors persist of secret underground tunnels used for unspeakable procedures. Explorers claim that the temperature drops significantly in this area, and some have recorded electronic voice phenomena containing what appear to be anguished voices pleading for help. Whether these disturbances are the result of residual energy imprinted onto the environment, or something far more sinister, remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that the old Alcorn State Hospital continues to draw those fascinated by its haunted history, offering a glimpse into a world where pain and suffering refuse to be forgotten. Investigating Mississippi's most terrifying locations determined to uncover the truth behind Mississippi's most haunted places, several paranormal investigation teams have ventured into the state's most notorious locations, armed with state-of-the-art equipment and an unwavering resolve to document whatever might be lurking in the shadows. Among the most notable expeditions was that of the Heartland Paranormal Research Society, a group of dedicated investigators who spent 3 consecutive nights at the Myrtles Plantation, setting up cameras, infrared sensors, and audio recorders in key locations. Their findings, released in a detailed report, provided compelling evidence that reignited interest in the plantation's haunting reputation. One of the most chilling discoveries made by HPRS was captured on a thermal imaging camera positioned near the upstairs hallway. At approximately 2:37 a.m., the footage showed a humanoid-shaped anomaly emerging from an empty room, moving slowly toward the center of the corridor before abruptly vanishing. What made this sighting particularly unsettling was that no visible figure appeared on the standard video feed. The entity was only detectable through thermal imaging, suggesting it either lacked a physical form or existed in a state beyond normal perception. The investigators, visibly shaken, attempted to communicate using a digital voice recorder, asking, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Moments later, registering an unusually high reading. Simultaneously, the audio recorder picked up a distorted whisper stating, "They took me. I can't leave." In addition to visual and auditory anomalies, the team documented multiple instances of unexplained cold spots throughout the plantation. Using thermometers and thermal cameras, they recorded drastic temperature drops in specific areas, sometimes plummeting by as much as 20 degrees within seconds. These cold zones were concentrated near the staircase and the former nursery, where local legends speak of children vanishing without a trace. Some speculate that these areas serve as portals for residual energy, carrying forward the emotions of those who once walked the halls. Another harrowing encounter was experienced by a solo investigator who set up camp near the remnants of the old Alcorn State Hospital, the sprawling psychiatric facility now reduced to little more than crumbling brick and rusted metal beams. He described waking in the middle of the night to the sound of rhythmic tapping against the wooden frame of his tent. Upon stepping outside with a flashlight, he found no sign of the noise's origin, only a faint trail of footprints leading into the dense underbrush. Assuming it was an animal, he returned to his tent, only to hear a soft voice whispering his name from just beyond the fabric walls. Petrified, he remained frozen in place until dawn, when he hastily packed his gear and left the area, vowing never to return. Despite the skepticism surrounding paranormal investigations, the sheer volume of consistent reports and recorded anomalies makes it difficult to dismiss the idea that something unnatural lingers within Mississippi's most haunted locations. Whether these experiences stem from residual energies, interdimensional phenomena, or something far more sinister remains uncertain. But for those who have witnessed the inexplicable firsthand, the question is no longer whether these places are haunted, it's what exactly is waiting in the darkness, watching and waiting. The psychological impact of haunted places, fear, trauma, and the mind's response to psychological effects of visiting Mississippi's most haunted locations extend far beyond the immediate sensations of fear and unease. For many who have explored these eerie places, the experience leaves lasting impressions that manifest in anxiety, sleep disturbances, and even paranoia long after they've left the premises. Psychologists and paranormal researchers alike have studied the impact of such environments on the human mind, seeking to understand why certain locations evoke such profound emotional responses. Some attribute these reactions to the power of suggestion. If a person enters a place expecting to encounter something supernatural, their brain becomes hyper-aware of every creak, whisper, or flicker of movement, interpreting them as signs of an unseen presence. Others propose that the location's eerie atmosphere triggers primal instincts, activating the fight or flight response as the subconscious perceives an unknown threat lurking in the shadows. However, for those who have had direct encounters with the unexplainable, the effects can be far more severe. Reports from individuals who have spent extended periods in these haunted spaces describe symptoms akin to post-traumatic stress disorder, including flashbacks, intrusive thoughts, and an overwhelming sense of dread upon returning to the site. Some claim they have developed insomnia, plagued by nightmares that mirror their experiences, visions of shadowy figures watching from the darkness, disembodied voices calling out their names, and the sensation of an unseen force pulling them deeper into the unknown. Others have spoken of an inexplicable compulsion to return, as if drawn by something beyond their control, despite knowing the risks involved. One particularly unsettling case involved a group of college students who visited the Myrtles plantation for a late-night challenge. They claimed to have heard a child's laughter echoing through the halls, only to turn and find no one nearby. Days later, one of the students began experiencing hallucinations. He reported seeing a small figure darting through his peripheral vision, vanishing the moment he turned to look. His mental health deteriorated rapidly, leading to hospitalization and months of therapy. While doctors attributed his condition to heightened stress and sensory deprivation, he remained convinced that something had followed him home, lingering just beyond the reach of sight. These psychological effects raise important questions about the nature of fear and the way the human mind processes the unknown. Whether the hauntings are purely psychological or influenced by something beyond scientific understanding, one thing remains certain: those who enter these haunted places often leave changed, carrying the weight of their experiences long after they've stepped back into the light. The cultural significance of Mississippi's haunted places, folklore, media, and urban legend beyond their reputations as hotspots for paranormal activity, Mississippi's most haunted locations have taken on a life of their own within local folklore, media coverage, and urban legend. Over the years, these places have become symbols of fear and mystery, inspiring countless horror stories, documentaries, and even fictionalized accounts in literature and film. Their presence in pop culture has only fueled the intrigue surrounding them, drawing both skeptics and believers who hope to uncover the truth behind the myths. Local news outlets have covered these haunted sites extensively, often highlighting unsolved disappearances, strange occurrences, and eyewitness testimonies that add to their enigmatic allure. In the 1990s, a regional television station aired a documentary titled Shadows Across the South, which featured interviews with former residents, paranormal investigators, and even law enforcement officers who had responded to calls regarding suspicious activity near the Myrtles plantation. The documentary included grainy footage allegedly showing shadowy figures moving between the trees, as well as audio recordings of eerie whispers that sent chills down the spines of viewers. Though skeptics dismissed the content as poorly edited hoaxes, the documentary sparked renewed interest in the location, prompting a surge of nighttime visits from thrill-seekers eager to test the legends for themselves. Literature has also played a significant role in cementing these haunted places' status as cultural phenomena. Several horror novels have drawn inspiration from their eerie reputations, weaving fictional narratives around real-life events and reported hauntings. One particularly popular book, Echoes of Sorrow, blends documented paranormal investigations with creative storytelling, portraying the old Alcorn State Hospital as a gateway to another realm where lost souls are trapped in an endless cycle of torment. The novel's success led to a limited-run podcast series that reenacted the events described in the book, blending raw interview clips with dramatized retellings that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. The internet has further amplified the mystique of these haunted locations, with forums, YouTube videos, and social media pages dedicated to sharing personal experiences and investigating their haunted reputations. Urban explorers frequently upload footage of their nighttime excursions, capturing everything from strange lights flickering in the distance to unexplained sounds that defy logical explanation. Some of these videos have gone viral, attracting millions of views and sparking debates about whether these places truly harbor something supernatural, or if the collective belief in their haunting has created a self-perpetuating cycle of fear. Despite the commercialization of their legends, these haunted locations remain deeply unsettling places for those who visit. Whether it is the power of suggestion, the influence of local folklore, or something far more inexplicable, one thing is certain: Mississippi's most haunted places continue to capture the imagination of those who dare to explore their shadowy depths. Facing the unknown, personal stories from those who survived Mississippi's horrors for those who have experienced the horrors of Mississippi's most haunted locations firsthand. The memories remain vivid, unsettling, and impossible to forget. Countless individuals have come forward over the years, recounting their encounters with the unknown, some hesitant to speak, fearing ridicule, while others share their stories in hopes of finding validation or understanding. These personal accounts paint a chilling picture of places where reality bends, time distorts, and the veil between the living and the dead feels perilously thin. One such account comes from Sarah Mitchell, a nurse who visited the Myrtles plantation with a group of friends in the summer of 2018. She described how the evening started innocently enough, with laughter and casual conversation as they wandered through the grand lobby. However, as they ventured deeper into the house, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. "It felt like the air got heavier," she recalled. "We couldn't explain it, but we all stopped talking at the same time, like we were afraid to make a sound." As they reached the second-floor landing, Sarah noticed something odd. Her phone, which had been fully charged, suddenly died, along with her friend's flashlight. "That's when we saw it," she whispered. "A figure standing at the end of the hallway. It wasn't moving, just staring at us." The group stood frozen, paralyzed by fear, as they tried to determine whether the figure was real or merely a trick of the dim lighting. "It looked human, but wrong," Sarah explained. "Its arms were too long, and its head was tilted at an unnatural angle." Before anyone could react, the figure vanished into the shadows as quickly as it had appeared. Shaken, the group hurried back toward the main entrance, only to realize they had somehow ended up in a completely different part of the house, one they hadn't passed through on their way in. "We didn't know how we got there," she admitted. "It was like the house itself moved around us." Another harrowing experience was shared by Mark Alvarez, a security guard who worked the overnight shift patrolling the perimeter of the old Alcorn State Hospital in the early 2000s. He described his usual routine as uneventful, filled with the usual sounds of the night, until one particularly quiet evening when he heard a child laughing in the distance. "At first I thought maybe some kid snuck in after hours," he said. "But the laugh kept going, getting louder and louder, like it was right behind me." He turned around, expecting to see a teenager hiding behind a tree, but instead found himself staring into complete darkness. "There was no one there," he said, his voice trembling. And then the laughing stopped. From that point on, Mark claimed the area became increasingly unnerving. He reported seeing shadowy figures moving just beyond the edges of his flashlight beam, only to disappear when he tried to approach. On one occasion, he swore he saw a woman dressed in old-fashioned clothing standing near the entrance gate, watching him silently. When he blinked, she was gone. Eventually, the constant sense of being watched and the creeping dread that settled over him every night forced him to quit his job. "I don't care what people say," he insisted. "Something isn't right in that place." These stories, while differing in details, share a common thread. Each individual entered Mississippi's haunted locations expecting a simple outing or routine work assignment, only to leave shaken by something they could neither explain nor escape. Whether these experiences stem from psychological suggestion, environmental anomalies, or something far more sinister, the impact on those who live them remains undeniable. For those who have faced the unknown within Mississippi's most haunted places, the memory lingers, a haunting reminder that some places are best left undisturbed. The enduring mystery of Mississippi's most haunted places. As we bring this chilling journey to a close, one thing remains abundantly clear: Mississippi's most haunted places are more than just relics of the past. They are living testaments to history's darkest chapters, infused with the lingering echoes of those who once called them home. From the sorrowful apparition of Margaret Reed Crosby still wandering the halls of her Victorian mansion to the phantom children who seemed to play in the shadows of the Myrtles plantation, these locations continue to defy explanation, drawing in those who seek answers and leaving them with more questions than they arrived with. Whether you believe in the supernatural or prefer to attribute these experiences to psychological suggestion, environmental factors, or even urban myth, the sheer number of consistent reports from credible witnesses makes it difficult to dismiss the haunted reputations of these places outright. The personal accounts of those who have faced the unknown within their walls are too numerous and too similar to be ignored. Something lingers in the shadows of Mississippi's most haunted places, whether it be the restless spirits of the past, residual imprints of trauma, or something far beyond our understanding remains a mystery. If you've enjoyed this exploration of one of the most terrifying states in the US, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another spine-chilling story. Whether you're a believer in the paranormal or simply fascinated by the power of fear and folklore, there's always more to uncover in the world of the unknown. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, sometimes the scariest places are the ones that exist just beyond the reach of the light.